5.3 Part 2, Stat Plots and Lines of Best Fit, Calculator Demonstration. So we left off in the previous video after example 1 here. So we went through all of that. So for this video, I'm going to go ahead and go through number 1 here, and I'm going to show you how to put all of this into the calculator. Let's go ahead and scroll down so you can see. So if you have this page copied off from the lecture notes, just get this out and get your calculator out, and you can go through all the steps on the calculator with me. Okay, so the first thing we're going to have to do is we need to turn the diagnostics on. So that is done by going to this down here, the catalog. Now, since the catalog is on the upper left-hand corner of this button, the 0 button, to get to it, you have to hit the second key function or second key button first. So we'll hit second and then the 0 button, and you can see every key that I press is going to be down here in the press history. And then you can start scrolling down to diagnostics. It's in alphabetical order, or what you can do is you can go to the D right here, and it will let you skip to the D's. You notice that you have your letters here, A, B, C, D, F, G, so on. But anything on the upper right-hand corner of a key, you have to get to that, you have to use the alpha button. So we're going to hit the alpha key first and then hit this button. So let's do that. And it's kind of weird. For some reason, I have to do this twice, but then it lets me get to the D's. All right, now that we're to the D's, we're going to arrow down to the diagnostics. And if you don't turn the diagnostics on, when you're finding in your linear regression, your little lowercase r won't show up. And so when some of your homework problems are going to ask you to find the correlation coefficient, which is the lowercase r. Anyway, we'll push enter and then enter again and make sure that's on. Once you do this, your calculator should store it, so you shouldn't have to do it again. All right, so let's go ahead and put our data values into the calculator. So now we're going to go to our stat button. That's for statistics. You just hit that, and it's already highlighted on number 1, so we don't need to scroll down or up. We just need to go to edit. So all we need to do is just push enter, and then we can edit. So in our list 1 here, what we're going to do is we're going to put all of our x coordinates. And then in list 2, we're going to put all our y coordinates. Now you can use other lists. You're just going to have to make sure when you go to find your linear regression line that you change from L1 and L2, because I think by default it goes L1 and L2, at least for this calculator, the CE, TI-84CE. It defaults to L1 and L2 when you do calculations. But if you're using other lists, you're just going to have to change those. Now, the L1, L2, L3, L4, and L5, etc., they are located right here. So L1 is on the top left-hand corner of the key one, and here's L2, L3, L4, L5, L6. Now, on some of your older calculators, you will have to put in L1 and L2 and use a comma in between. So just keep that in mind. This is a newer one, but I'll let you know when you have to do that. So anyway, these are your x coordinates, these are your x's, and these are y's. And let's say you want to put something in L3 or something. What you would do, because I don't want to mess these up, I already put those in there. And while I'm doing this, you can put those into your calculator, pause the video, put them in there, whatever. So let's say I have some numbers in L4, and you can just push a number and push enter, or hit a number and then arrow down, it doesn't matter. But let's say I need to clear all these out. To clear all these out, what you're going to do is arrow up so that L4 is highlighted in black, and then do clear, and then just arrow back down, and it'll just clear it all out. So you're going to need to do that on L1 and L2 when you go to a different homework problem. So that's how you do that. So let's go back to list 1 here. Let's say for some reason I messed up here, and that was supposed to be, say, a 0.7. So all you do is highlight it and put in 0.7 and then arrow down or push enter and it will type over it. Well, that wasn't supposed to be a 0.7, it was supposed to be a 0.2, so I'm going to put that back in there. Let me make sure that's what it is. 0.1, 0.2. Yeah, okay. So after we get all of our data values in there, then we will just go to stat again. And actually, let me clear off my drawings. Then we'll go to calculate over here. That is right here. So we need to highlight that. So we'll arrow over. And then we're going to go to linear regression right here, number 4. So you can actually just push number 4 button, or you can arrow down till you get there. It's highlighted, and then push enter. And this is what I was talking about, that usually we put our information in list 1 and list 2, because for this calculator it has it, I think it has it defaulted to list 1, list 2. But let's say you wanted to put your information in list 3 and list 4 or something like that. So for your x coordinates, say you had them in list 3. Well, then you would, over here, you would put list 3 in there. So because it's on the top left-hand corner, it's in blue, you do second blue, and then that would change it to list 3. Well, we don't need list 3. We want, our x coordinates are in list 1, so I'm going to put that back. So second number 1 button. All right, so we have x coordinates in list 1, y coordinates in list 2, and I think that's by default there as well. So you just need to go down to calculate. Now, before I hit calculate, on your older calculators, after you hit linear regression, AX plus B, that'll just take you to your home button or your home screen. And what you're going to have to do, and this is in the notes on the directions, but for the older calculators, then you'll just put in L1, comma, L2. So you'll hit this, you'll put in the L1, and then you'll do a comma, and then do L2, L sub 2. But for this newer calculator, it's already there, so I just have to go down to calculate. So that's sure flashing on that, and then push enter. And voila, I have all my information. The A is the slope. So this is our slope. And the B is the y-intercept. So all you need to do is just plug it in. And I think for this one, we're rounding to the hundredths, to 2 decimal places. So for the A, I'm going to put in negative 1.66, and then for the B, we're just putting in 15.01. So what it's going to look like is our linear regression line is an estimation. So you use the little hat symbol, y hat, meaning estimation, is negative 1.66 times x plus 1501. So there's our linear regression line. And then we were also asked to find the correlation coefficient. Now, if you don't turn the diagnostics on, you won't see this. So make sure you do that first. And once you turn that on, you shouldn't have to do it again. Anyway, our correlation coefficient rounded to the hundredths would be negative 0.86. And that's kind of close to -1. So what it's saying is our data is representing a line that's decreasing. That's what that means. We're going to do some more stuff on the R in just a few minutes. Okay, so we put everything into the calculator and we got all of this. And you can see there's your linear regression line and there's our correlation coefficient. So for here, if it just asks you to find the correlation coefficient, you'll do everything the same way. And you'll just put in, you'll just say R is negative 0.86 for this one. All right, so we're going to do one last problem. So I need to scroll down. Okay, the last problem is example 2. And it says, after collecting 20 data points, suppose you computed your correlation coefficient is negative 0.85 using the critical value table below. Determine if the value of R is significant or not. Okay, so this is kind of close to -1, so we're thinking this is significant. So it has a significant relationship to a decreasing line. But they want us to make sure by using this chart. So this chart has your degrees of freedom and your critical values. So to get your degrees of freedom, all you do is you take the number of data points you have and subtract 2. So that'd be 18. So that's your degrees of freedom. Let's do this. Let's use lowercase. It doesn't really matter. But anyway, that's your degrees of freedom. So you're going to find 18 in this, your degrees of freedom column, which is right here. And then that means your critical value for that many data points, or your degrees of freedom, is 0.444. Now this is representing plus and minus. So I would do a number line. I recommend that once you find your critical values, you do number lines. So you're going to have a negative one of these on the left side of your 0, and then a positive one. So if your R is in between here, then what that means is it's not significant. It's not representing, your data is not representing a line. You can't use a linear regression line, or if you did, it wouldn't be a good fit for it, the information. Okay, so our R is a negative 0.85. So this is just negative 0.4. Just look at the first number here that you run into, which is in the 10th place. So we have negative 0.4. So negative 0.8 is going to be over here somewhere. Negative 0.85. Oh, I didn't put the 0 there, did I? Oh, well, it's supposed to have a 0. Anyway, the point is that your R is to the left of your critical value. It's not within here, so that means it is significant. So if it's in between the critical values that you're given, then it's not significant. And if it's either smaller than or greater than this interval, then it is significant.